Hello everyone, welcome to a new disc golf video. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a bag update video. I made my official 2022 in the bag video this past winter, but a lot has changed in my bag, so I'm going to be giving you guys updated in the bag. Let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so we'll start off with my putters, and specifically my putting putters. And I'm still putting with the same classic blend Wardens. I've had these for like over a year and a half, and I really like these putters. They're really straight. The plastic in the summertime has got a little bit of give to it, so I really like that. But I like releasing it flat right at the basket, and I can trust these to go dead straight. The Warden is like my favorite putting putter I've ever used, so I don't see myself switching from that. I also have a throwing Warden. This is just a burst Warden, and this one's pretty special. I have 3 aces with this Warden. It's really understable. It's just that base plastic, and it's hit a lot of trees, so this one's my most understable throwing putter, but I need it for, in the wood shots and things like that, so I really like this putter, and this has been in the bag for a long time. The next disc is an Opto Gauntlet by Latitude 64, and this has beat in a lot since my last video, and so this one is pretty much a neutral straight to turnover putter off the tee for me. It's not nearly as understable as the Warden, but if I really want to power up on something that I want to finish left, then this is the disc I'm going to use. It feels really good, and it's got a lot of glide, and this is my farthest throwing putter in my bag. I can throw this one pretty far, so I really like the Gauntlet, and this was definitely not leaving my bag. I used to bag another Gauntlet, but only bagging this one right now. The next disc is a soft Marshall. This has been in the bag for a long time as well, and this disc is still pretty straight to stable, but it's soft plastic, so it's super bendy. And so basically I'll use this whenever there's a big drop off behind the basket, or I kind of want to play lawn dogs out there, not have any skip or anything like that. So that's the use of the Marshall. Really unique disc. Not very many people throw it, but I highly recommend trying out just a throwing putter in a soft plastic to see how you like it. I think it's a really underrated thing to have a disc really sit by the basket with no skip. So if you remember in my last video, I was all Trilogy. Since then, I've decided to go open bag and kind of throw whatever I want. Now, the majority of my bag is still Trilogy as I'm trying to find new molds, but the mold that I really wanted to have back in the bag is the P3X from Discmania, and I have 2 of them. This is my old S-Line P3X that I've had for a while. I gave it to a buddy, he gave it back to me. This is my most overstable throwing putter. It'll hold a hyzer, flat release, it'll go straight for a little bit with a hard fade. It's very reliable. The S-Line plastic feels great. This is one of my most used throwing putters, the S-Line P3X. I also have a D-Line P3X, a bit straighter, and this one I can throw out flat and it'll go straight with minimal fade at the end, and it'll hold a hyzer as well. So 2 P3Xs in the bag. Really happy to be throwing the P3X again. Definitely one of my favorite discs, and I'm super happy to be throwing it. So I've got S-Line and a D-Line in the bag. All right, so next is my forehand approach discs, and I'm still going with the West Side Discs Anvil. I've got the BT Hybrid, the VIP. The VIP is still my go-to, the most overstable Anvil. This one's beat in to become a bit straighter. It doesn't skip as much as the VIP. I've gotten 2 aces with the VIP since I last filmed and in the bag, so this one's pretty cool. 2 forehand aces with this. Yet to have an ace with this one, but I've gotten good use out of this. It's starting to beat in, feels really good, and as it continues to beat in, I'll be able to use it even more. So the Anvil is still my go-to forehand approach disc. Alright, so moving on to my mid-ranges, and actually my mid-ranges are completely new. I don't bag a single mid-range that I bagged in my last in the bag, so we'll start off with the Opto Fuse. I added this to the bag after I compared it with the Bounty. If you remember, the Bounty used to be my go-to understable mid. I replaced it with the Fuse. The Fuse has a better feel to me. Now this one has hit a few trees, so it's really understable, so I'll put it on a lot of hyzer. It'll flip up and turn over. Really good woods disc, one of my favorite understable mid-ranges I've ever thrown. Great feel in the hand. I recommend this for all types of players, beginner up to pro. You can really find a use for the Fuse, and it's one of my favorite discs in the bag, most fun discs to throw. The next disc here is a Star Mako 3 I actually got from my buddy Noah. He gave this one to me, and I was really looking for a straight mid-range for a while. I bagged an EMAC Truth, but it was just too overstable for the straight mid-range slot. And so I got a Star Mako 3, exactly what I was looking for. You can put it out on some hyzer, it'll slowly flip up to flat, move straight, and then fade at the end. If you release it flat, it may turn a little bit, but finish flat. So I really like the Star Mako 3, good feel in the hand, and really good on a hyzer release. Love this in the woods, love this as my kind of go-to mid-range really straight, really neutral mid. The next disc is a 2021 Chris Clemens Lucid X Glimmer Verdict, and I put this used to be in my bag. I took it out and I put it back in, and I don't know why I wasn't throwing this disc more. This is one of my favorite mid-ranges to throw. It's not as overstable as it once was, so I can hit it out flat. It'll go straight with a fade at the end, and it'll hold a hyzer, it'll do all sorts of things. Super great feel in the hand. Really, really good feeling disc. I love the Verdict for all my overstable mid-range needs. I'll use this in the woods and in the open. Really versatile disc. I love the Verdict, and especially in this Tour Series plastic, it makes it even better. So I highly recommend trying out a Verdict, one of my favorite discs in the bag. All right, moving on to my fairway drivers. My most understable is a Fusion Burst Maverick. This has been in the bag for a very, very long time. The most understable disc in my bag, probably. I can release it on hyzer and it's just going to go left. It'll turn over. Pretty much no matter how I release this, it's going to turn over. Super understable, but I need a disc like this for those wood shots, turnover shots. You know, everyone needs kind of a really understable disc. If I ever were to throw a roller, it would probably be with this disc. Super understable, very workable, and I really like the Maverick. And this plastic is super cool, so I like keeping this disc in the bag. Alright, so my camera actually overheated in the sun because it's so hot outside, which is something I don't have to deal in the winter, which is why I normally film it in the bags in the winter. But besides the point, we'll go ahead and move on to the next disc in the fairway driver lineup, which is the Felon. And I absolutely love the Felon. I've got 4 of them in the bag. If you've been following the channel, you'll recognize this Felon right here. This is a tie-dye Lucid Felon. This has been in the bag over 2 years. This Felon is pretty understable at this point. It does not fly like a Felon anymore. If you're familiar with kind of how maybe like an Evader or a Fusion X, Lucid X Maverick flies, that's about how this flies. Put it on some hyzer, it'll flip up, maybe turn, fade at the end. Really fun disc to throw backhand. Forehand, it's pretty much just a turnover disc for me, scramble shots in the woods, forehand, but I really like throwing this disc, super understable. Next instability is actually this blue Lucid Felon, and although this is newer than the red one, it is less stable. I've thrown this one a ton in the past few months, so this Felon is pretty much dead straight. You know, put on some hyzer, it'll pop up, go straight, minimal fade at the end. Really good seasoned in Felon here, backhand, forehand, whatever. One of my most used discs in the bag. Really enjoy throwing this Felon. There's something about just beating in a Felon to become dead straight where you can really work it on a number of lines, especially those forehand flex shots, because this will hold longer than a normal Felon will. So really workable disc. Love this one. Next is actually this red Lucid Felon. I put this back in my bag. I took it out of my bag for a little bit because I got the blue one, but this one's actually more overstable. I can hit it flat, it'll go straight and then start hyzering. Pretty straight to stable Felon. Not crazy overstable, like if I put it on some anhyzer, it'll hold for a long way before it comes out, but still really nice, really workable, pretty overstable. Another Lucid Felon. And then the last one is this German blend, brand new Lucid Felon. Pretty stiff, super overstable. The most overstable disc in my bag if I ever need, you know, to throw this into a headwind or like a skip shot or something like that, or a crazy flex line. I'll use this Felon, most overstable disc in my bag, and yeah, really like it. The next disc is a 10-speed kind of hybrid driver in between fairway and distance. It's the Musket. If you've been following the channel, you know I rave about the Musket. This is the oldest one I have. It's over 2 years old. It's the first one I've ever got. It's pretty much been in the bag since day one. Love this Musket. Really seasoned in. Got great glide on it. Hyzer flip to turnover. It's kind of a longer Maverick for me. Really like this for in the woods, hitting tight lines. Got another Opto Musket. Slightly more overstable than the other one, but not necessarily stable. I can put it on some hyzer, it'll flip up. If I ever need to power up on a Musket and trust its understable flight path, I'll go with this one. Good for hitting gaps, good for kind of slow flip to late turn. Love this disc. And then third is the Opto X Musket, my favorite Musket. This one is more stiff, more overstable, more torque resistant. If I ever really want to power up on a Musket, I'll go with this one. Put on a touch of hyzer, it'll flip up and go straight, then fade. I can rip it flat and it'll give me a nice dead straight flight. This Musket can handle the power, can handle the torque. If you want to try a Musket and you got a good arm speed, go for the Opto X. It'll be more overstable than the Optos, but this one is awesome. Definitely my favorite Musket for in the woods and in the open too. Really workable, nice, stable Musket. Alright, so next are my distance drivers, and I'm still trying to figure out my distance drivers. This slot on my bag will probably change the most, but for right now, this is what I'm working with. I've recently put the Royal Grace in my bag. In my first impressions video, this was actually super understable, but I think it may have been because of the wind. So I gave it another shot, and it's actually a good flight. It's pretty much just a understable distance driver. I'll use this for Anheuser's or Turner for forehands or something like that. So really fun tailwind disc, really good plastic. I like the way it feels. Still kind of messing around with this one, but I like the Grace. The next disc is the Fusion Raider. I've got 3 of them in the bag actually. So you'll recognize this blank one, the flippiest Raider I have. Pretty much at this point, good for long Anheuser shots, hyzer flipped, turnover, max distance disc right here is this Raider. Next in stability is this Fusion Raider that I actually lost a long time ago, but got it back from Casey Malone. Thanks to him for giving this back to me. But this Raider is kind of just your classic bomber Raider, rip it on some hyzer, it'll flip up, it'll turn, it'll fade, just distance Raider right here. Good seasoned, it's pretty flippy, but it'll give me good distance. And then this gravity stamped Raider is pretty straight to stable, still pretty stable Raider. My go-to forehand disc is this one for all my forehand distance shots. The Raider is definitely my favorite forehand distance disc I've ever used. I prefer it for the forehand distance shot. It's definitely the disc I can throw the furthest on forehand. But I'll throw this one forehand, backhand. But the Raider is primarily a forehand distance disc for me, but I will go ahead and use it backhand occasionally as well. Next is the Defender. I've got this Biofusion Defender right here, probably one of my most favorite backhand distance discs at this point. Nice and beat in, put it on some hyzer, it'll flip up to flat and then fade. Really reliable flight, good distance disc. Probably my go-to backhand distance driver at this point. Really like how this one flies. It goes pretty far, and I like the Defender a lot. Hopefully they'll restock some Biofusion Defenders. I really like this plastic, and hopefully the Dynamic will make more of them. I'd love to get my hands on some more Bio Defenders, but this is definitely my favorite backhand distance disc. And I also have another Defender, but it does not fly like the Biofusion. I have a regular Fusion Defender that is the most overstable disc in my bag. It's this Captain America stamp disc. And this one is, and this is a meat hook. I can't even throw this like 300 feet. Like, this thing is so overstable, dead flat, just super overstable Defender. I barely throw this because it's so overstable, but if I ever have a ripping headwind, I'm reaching for this disc. You kind of need that super overstable distance driver, and that Defender is that disc for me. Way different than the Biofusion, but it is the most overstable disc in my bag, and I need it in the bag for those headwind scenarios. But yeah, so this is a Fusion Defender, most overstable disc. And then last but not least is the Ballista Pro. I've got a Gravity Disc Golf Opto Ballista Pro. I like this because of the wide rim. If I ever need kind of like a skip shot or something like that, this is just another kind of hyzer flip and then fade disc. This kind of varies in stability, like it's a bit inconsistent, but I still like the way it feels and the way it flies. Right now, it's flying a bit overstable. It had a phase where it was kind of flippy, but at this point, it's similar to the Defender, where I can hit it on some hyzer, it'll go flat. This one may flirt with a little bit of anhyzer, but pretty hard fade at the end. So I like this backhand, forehand, really versatile disc off the tee. I like working on flex lines and things like that. So Ballista Pro is the last distance driver in my bag, and that is it for the in the bag. Still rocking with the same mini, Westside Discs Mini, and I will say this birdie bag right here, this thing comes in clutch in the summertime because of how hot it is. I'm literally sweating sitting here recording a video, but when I'm out playing and really sweating, this keeps my hands dry, and I appreciate it. I really enjoy that. But that is it for the in the bag. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe. If you have any distance driver recommendations for me to try out, that's kind of the slot that I'm experimenting with the most right now, definitely let me know. But that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.